All right. Welcome everyone. Let's get started here. It's close enough to 5:30. Welcome back. My name is Chris Goglin. I'll be your host tonight for episode number 32. Let's get Crazy Batman out of here of my GEMP game review series. We're going to be getting started here with some game reviews in just a second, but of course, we got to do some housekeeping items. First off, we took a little hiatus for all the online championship series playoff games that were going on, and there were quite a few of them in the first couple weeks. We're down to the finals of that. That will actually be taking place at the ungodly hour of 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this coming Sunday. Um, that will be between All Stars 97 and Profundity. They are both teachers, both very close friends, part of the KTOD, the Kashyyyk Train of Dominance, and they actually split their team to play tests against, so they wouldn't give any team secrets up. Um, I don't know who was a playtesting partner. One of them got Baroni, one of them got Chew. Really can't go wrong with either of those options for playtest partners. And they'll be playing this Sunday, 7 a.m. We will be live streaming it. For those of you who actually enjoy sleeping in on weekends, you can, of course, jump in a little later. Obviously, expecting it to go probably about 3 hours because they're going to play both games. So I think it'll probably go about 3 hours. So somewhere between 10 and 11 is when we'll wrap up on Sunday. And the videos will be available on Twitch and then eventually migrate over to YouTube as well. Queso, thank you for the donation of the bits. Bits are always appreciated. We like bits. You can get bits for free just by watching some crappy little advertisements and save them up and then, cheer during our Twitch casts. You can also subscribe to the PC's Twitch channel. You have to do that each month. If you have a Twitch Prime account, you get one free subscription each month for having a Twitch Prime account. And that does give a little bit of revenue to uh, the streamer. So it is free money for the players committee, which we can then use to continue to do things like all these wonderful programs. Also coming up on the calendar, just over a month away from the Endor Grand Prix, our next major physical card tournament will be taking place in the Seattle, Washington area. Always a great time in running that this is year number 4 of the Seattle Grand Prix. This will be the first year I am not attending, but Quesosauce will be on site and we'll be doing live commentary, and I do hope to jump in for a few games with him remotely if possible over the course of the weekend. I'm sure there'll be a couple other people who'll be looking to pair up with him and do some casting. Players who couldn't be in attendance, but I wish they could be there in spirit. So hopefully get to do some commentary. And yep, I got you. And should be a good time. There's already over like 23, 24 people signed up. I'm sure we'll get a few more stragglers who will show up. Usually ends up being around 30 players. Always a great time. It's in a good location, very convenient and easy to get to from the airport. And there's a couple of good food outlets nearby. I won't call them good food outlets, but there's options. You got a Taco Bell, you got a Jack in the Box, a Denny's, Dave's Diner. There's an overpriced barbecue place not too far from there either. So there's options. Plus, the hotel gives free breakfast, and it's actually really good. So usually just load up on breakfast, grab an extra bagel or muffin or something like that, and then hit up something during the event. Hopefully, we'll be seeing a couple of new faces, people who have been lurking only online, including the infamous Tom may actually be in attendance playing his first in-person tournament. Chris Werfs is organizing the event. I know he's really trying to do whatever he can to convince Tom to come out of the shadows and show up to play some actual physical cards. And yeah, unfortunately, sad I will not be there to see it, but should be a great time for everybody involved. So if you have the opportunity to head out there, I definitely would recommend it if you're on the West Coast, and even if you're just like, oh, I've never played in a real tournament, I don't know, go. You'll have fun. You'll learn. A lot of people there are really, forgiving, and best way to learn is to just by doing, right? So you got to get out there, meet some people, play some games. You'll lose some games, but you'll learn from each game, and nobody's gonna be rubbing it in your face. Nobody's gonna be offended that you suck and you're dragging down their winning percentage, or wasting their time. Like, we're not elitist like some other card games may be, where they're just like, why are you here? You're wasting my time. Now you're killing my strength of schedule, and I'm not gonna qualify for the next level because you're just gonna go 0-8. Like, nobody thinks that at a Star Wars tournament. Um, Maybe one or two people might think that at a Star Wars tournament. Nobody says that at a Star Wars tournament, though. So those are all good things to think about if you're planning on coming out to a live Star Wars event. Um, and then, of course, eventually we'll get to the World Championships, but we still got a ways to go for that. However, you might want to start saving up. You might want to, start putting $20 a week aside in a jar, so somewhere, or savings account. Get your passport renewed if you haven't done that, so that way you can come to the World Championships in Germany. Euro Worlds #2 this year. Should be a fabulous time. Very much excited about the prospects of heading to that. But that's 9 months from now in the future, and anything can happen between now and then. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. But what we are here to do is are here to review some Star Wars games. I did get a number of links from people in the last 6 weeks or so. No Black Sun decks. I specifically asked for everyone who was submitting me links, do not send me anything of you playing Black Sun or you playing against Black Sun, because I'm just not going to stream them anymore. Now, the deck has been errated, so I'm lifting that restriction. So if you have a new game with the post errata to Black Sun and you want to send me over the link, please feel free to do so. I'd be more than happy to see how this deck has shifted. I know a lot of people are curious to see if it's still can hang tough at the top of the curve, or just exactly where it comes in. But for our two games we're going to look at tonight, one is a bit shorter of a game. But first, we are going to look at this interesting match between Quesosauce and Yodad. Thank you, Queso, for submitting this link. Let's go to the videotape. So we've got Yodad playing I Want That Map, taking on Quesosauce playing No Idea. And this is a very good deck for me to review because I have no idea what this deck does. All right, I have a little bit of an idea what this deck does. So let's stop for a second and we'll look at some cards. All right, so map. We've looked at map more than a few times. Queso, let's see if he opted to reveal anyone. He revealed Rey with Lightsaber as his resistance agent. So he will be going with Rey because I don't think No Idea can play Luke, right? You can't play Jedi. You may not deploy Jedi, Baze. You may not deploy Jedi, period. Huh. Reading fail. Blaze, Chirrut, and Rebel Troopers are spies. So you're going to have a whole lot of spies in this deck. I do know that. I do know the deck likes to run spies, typically likes to put Nightfall on the system, and then play all their spies for free. Usually Darkseid then pulls the shield to make them all at least cost 2. Still works out pretty well. However, I did not see Queso start Walkling, so I'm guessing he's going to go with a different build on this one. Oh. Weird version of the deck. Oh, you goofed up and forgot. Okay, so we'll get to the revert in a second. All right, so scratch that because apparently he forgot to play a starting interrupt. Hopefully this isn't like the broken link where they actually had to end the game and then redo it. Like, we'll find out in a minute. But in the meantime, we'll continue reading our No Idea objective here. So we'll either side up. Once per turn, you can deploy a Rebel starship or a Scarif site. So you can go get any ship. That's pretty good. Except Home 1 or the Reflections 3 maintenance cost Falcon. That's a good restriction because that Falcon is pretty insane. And being able to deploy Home 1... Home 1's expensive, but I see and understand why they wanted to restrict that one a little bit. Each player's characters, except Imperials and Spies. Alright, so each player's characters and vehicles deploy +2 to Scarif sites that player does not occupy, except for Imperials and Spies. So if you got a whole bunch of Spies here, which your deck just gave you a whole bunch of Spies, you don't have to pay the +2 for the first guy. And then once you occupy the site, you don't have to pay the +2 for anybody else. But the first character and vehicle would cost you +2. If you were deploying an unpiloted vehicle, that would actually kind of suck a little bit. You'd have to do it in reverse because if you deployed the unpiloted vehicle, now you don't occupy, that cost you +2, and then you got to pay +2 to put the pilot aboard too. So if you're playing like Blizzard 1 and Veers, it would cost you +4 to get them both out unless you put Veers down first and then played the Walker, and then you got to move him into it, which means you probably can't battle, which kind of defeats the whole point of playing Veers like that. All right. Flip this card if you control 2 Scarif locations. And then once you flip this card, while this side up, your spies are defense value +2. So that's pretty good. Makes them a lot harder to hit because a lot of your troopers have low ability. They are immune to undercover, though, so you can't just blanket all the sites with undercover and then just do the ping damage with that Stardust card that we'll get to in a second. If they're with Stardust, they also get power +1, so that's pretty cool. But you can't play Jedi, so no Jedi's presence beat down by having overly inflated um, troopers. However, you can just deploy like 9 troopers or 9 rebels and just have like power 50 because they're all really strong and do it that way. Alright, while Stardust on your spy, opponent may not cancel your force drains at battlegrounds. Any battlegrounds, anywhere. So that takes away the map advantage of strategic reserves, of canceling drains. Any deck that would like to use Tarkin's Orders or something to cancel a drain. Um, control. Um, you know, I don't think that's about it for the drain canceling. I mean, there's others that have like bargaining table and that kind of stuff, but strategic reserves would obviously be the one that's most likely to happen in this matchup, so that's pretty cool. Once per turn, place a rebel in your lost pile out of play to cancel a just drawn destiny targeting the ability or defense value of your rebel, or to make a regular move with your spy during your control phase. So you take a guy who's already dead and throw him out of play. You're playing a lot of one-offs anyway. There probably aren't too many multiples in a deck like this. So that's pretty easy to do, which means you can't retrieve them and redeploy them later, but who cares about that because you either just canceled a destiny targeting the ability or defense value of your guy, most likely a weapon destiny, but it could be something else like Vader trying to choke somebody, or a set for stun to put somebody back in your hand, or a trample. You can cancel any of those destiny draws. That's pretty strong. Or you can make a regular move with your spy during your control phase, so that will let you move your spy somewhere during your control phase, so you'd have extra presence or ability. So then you could either force drain at a second location, or if they have guys there, now you're a step closer to being able to battle. So pretty strong objective, lots of cool cards in it here. We'll roll ahead a little bit and see if we get a revert or something. Yeah, it looks like there's going to be a revert here. Hey, all right, hey, welcome Spa. You haven't played Decipher Star Wars since 2002, but you still follow on Facebook. Well, thanks for checking us out and finding us on Facebook. Um, Obviously, very excited to have all kinds of new players, uh, or returning players. There's a whole article series. I've got 30 YouTube videos, for you to catch up on if you're just interested to see how the game is played currently, and lots of interesting stuff going on. So welcome back to the community, and thanks for joining us. Yeah, be sure and follow us on Twitch. If you see at the top bar there, there's 2 little things. You got the heart icon. You click that you follow us, and then you get notifications. You'll get an email notification like when we go live. It'll say Star Wars, PC just went live. And you're like, oh, they're streaming something. Let me go check that out. The other option, of course, is the button to subscribe. And like I said, if you have a Amazon Prime account, you can link it to Twitch for free, and then you get 1 free subscription each month, which you can then click and subscribe to our channel. You can subscribe to any channel, but don't waste it. Just, make sure each month you are subscribing to somebody, and they get like $2 or $3, which adds up and can certainly help over the course of the year, and let the players committee keep doing cool stuff. Anybody else having trouble hearing me? I feel like my mic is really loud and I'm yelling, but maybe I just moved it away. feel like I was getting all the way up in the yellows. All right, so anywho, so we're right here with, now we've got some actual starting interrupt stuff going on here. So we've got rebellions are built on hope. That will take the profundity into hand, possibly another system. More likely the profundity. Oh, maybe not. He's playing Moncal Dockyards. Just let Star Cruisers deploy -2 to a maximum of -3 and noise their deployment restrictions. Make them immune to attrition less than 4. So, alright, so you can pick up a profundity. It now deploys -3, basically. -2, -3, and now it's immune to attrition less than 4. Alright. There's 7 of you guys watching. Anybody else having issues hearing me? I can just start yelling. And then we've got Wackling, as we alluded to earlier, of course, because he wants to upload to get the Nightfall, which is actually already in his hand. Nightfall, during battles here, both sides add 1 destiny to power only, so you put it on the system, and then at all the related sites, they're under nighttime conditions. What does nighttime conditions mean? There's a couple of droids that do stuff with nighttime conditions, and other cards from Premier set. Other than that, there really isn't anything that specifically does anything with nighttime conditions. But you do get to add a destiny to total power each battle, which is awesome. And spies deploy free. So now you just, because you're playing a bunch of rebel troopers, which the objective made spies, so then you can drop a whole bunch of guys for free once you put the Nightfall on the Scarif system to these Scarif sites. And then you get the Yavin 4 throne room as well. Okay. So let's see what happens. Yodad gets the finalizer. Quesosauce takes the Mon Calamari system. Okay, so he is getting the system. Well, the objective lets him pull the ship, so no necessarily need to do that. All right. Yodad missed on his Starkiller base site. That's unfortunate. He activated 8 force, so it must be in his force pile somewhere. All right, so he's going to get Kylo Ren. Kylo's going to get him a used pile pull when he deploys him. Oh, look, he also deployed inconsequential losses. This is one that lets you forfeit weapons to your used pile. Okay, so it looks like he's playing a couple of weapons here, as we just verified. He missed the lightsaber as well. So he's got a couple of the Stormtrooper blasters and the laser cannon battery that'll go on the finalizer. So he's got a few weapons that he can forfeit to cycle back into his deck and get some extra use out of. That's pretty cool. He's going to play Hux as well and get a used pile pull from Hux and take any card he wanted as well. So Bow to the First Order, for those of you not familiar, once per character when you deploy Hux, Kylo, Phasma, or Snoke to a battleground, you go get any card you want out of your use pile. So he got 2 cards here. He still has Phasma and Snoke left to use sometime later in the game. Did not find the lightsaber though, which is interesting because he missed with the objective. He whiffed. He also used his I will finish what you started once per game and didn't find it there either. Deployed both Kylo and Hux and then didn't play it. So either he's not playing a lightsaber at all, or he opted not to deploy it and just passed the turn. That's pretty peculiar. All right. Mon Calamari. If you occupy with the Star Cruiser, opponent's Star Destroyers may not deploy here. Well, that's pretty cool. It means no finalizer. Star Cruisers deploy -1 here. If you control without a Star Destroyer, force drain -1. Okay. So if you put a Star Cruiser there, which would be Independence, Defiance, Home 1, Profundity. I feel like there's 1 or 2 more from Death Star 2. Then opponent's Star Destroyers may not deploy here. So that would keep the finalizer from deploying there, so they'd have to deploy somewhere else and then move over, which then lets you attack them on your terms, which is always a good idea. He's going to use the objective. He's got lots of options there. He's going to take the Data Vault. Oh, that was the other thing we didn't talk about. The Data Vault. All right, so you started with this card, Stardust. Anytime a relocate Stardust to your spy, During your control phase, if on your spy at a battleground you occupy, opponent loses 2 force. So you deploy a spy and you just steal it. And then during your control phase, if he's at a battleground, which these are all battlegrounds, including the site you pick it up from, then your opponent just starts losing 2 force a turn. Um, if about to leave table, it goes back to the data vault. So it never actually leaves the table. The card just keeps staying around forever. So if you keep killing the guy have it, kind of like capture the flag, it just kind of goes back to where it started from. Um, and then this particular site here says, while opponent occupies, Stardust may not move from here, and neither can the character who's holding it. So you can't just pick it up and start running away. If they have guys here, you're kind of stuck there. You still have the Stardust, so you're still causing the 2 force loss, but you can't just grab it and start running away from them. Um, the dark side game text on this site says all immunity to attrition here is canceled, and Efatmon's game text. Efatmon says your opponent may not deploy spies, gamblers, or thieves to this site. So it would kind of be a complete screw job if your opponent just used Power of the Hut turn 1 and just dropped Efatmon there, and it's like, yeah, none of your characters can deploy or move there. So they put this restriction in here that his game text is canceled. Oh, Liberty, that's the one I forgot. Thank you, Queso. Yeah, the one that forfeits used over and over again. All right, so we got the site out, the beach. He's got Strike Force, now he's got 2 grabbers working. And he's going to play General Kraken. General Kraken is a spy. He's not a spy. He's not a trooper or anything like that, so he does not become a spy. But he is a decent character because he does technically draw Destiny by himself. Because, excuse me, while your ability here is provided by scouts and spies, adds 1 Destiny, and during your turn, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Opponent may not add Destiny draws to power or attrition here. So he kind of screws over a little bit with Nightfall, because Nightfall gives both sides a power Destiny, and then Kraken says, but Dark Side doesn't get a power Destiny. So Light Side only gets to draw 1 and gets extra power in their battles here at his particular site. So a little bit of a nice little combo between him and Nightfall. Looks like Nightfall is out, so we should see some free spies. But Imperial Detention is the shield that kind of negates that a little bit, because you're not using their game text, you're using the game text on Nightfall to deploy them for free. So they have to first use 2 force. So it costs them 2 force to put somebody down with Kraken. Oh, looks like he's going to revert and take Kraken back because he realized that Kraken's not a spy and he costs a lot. So he's just going to use 2 force and deploy the Endor Commando team first, because they're free, which is unmodifiable by the objective, and then put Kraken down, and then he'll relocate. He can put Utani down too, or he could draw a couple cards. I would draw a couple cards because you want to make sure you keep your hand up. That's one of the common mistakes that we see a lot of new players make, that I talk about all the time, is that they feel the need to just, I got stuff, let me just deploy it, let me just keep deploying, and then like turn 4 or 5, you kind of run out of stuff to do. And then that's when usually they fall behind and they get into trouble, and then their opponent comes over and, really messes up their day. So the Endor Commando team here, power 8, that's pretty cool. During battle, your other rebels present may not have their forfeit reduced unless this guy's been hit. Each time he's hit, cumulatively power -2 until end of turn. So if you have a repeating weapon or multiple weapons, you can keep hitting this thing and keep dropping the power down on it. But you can't make anybody else's power forfeit 0 or just reduced in general until you hit this guy first. So your standard weapons that all make forfeit 0 wouldn't do anything to Kraken unless you hit the commando team first. And they are scouts, and they are also spies because they're troopers. So that still triggers Kraken's game text, which says why all your ability here is provided by scouts and or spies. You add a battle destiny. So right now that's a quick power 11, getting a battle destiny, decent forfeit, and now it's going to threaten 2 force loss from the Stardust. So that's a pretty quick opening, turn 1 pressure um, from the light side deck. Alright, so we get Captain Peavy, which cost 5 because he's the first guy. Okay, and here comes Phasma. Phasma will get a use pile search. She's also going to get barriered, which means she can't battle or move for the rest of the turn. And Yodad's going to have 4 force remaining. The First Order Troopers deploy for free. Be curious to see if Queso pulls the shield. He does not. I guess figuring Yodad probably has a smaller hand, doesn't have enough to put multiple guys down, or is he pulling it now? Oh, he's pulling aim high because he played first strike. Okay. Yeah, first strike there. That'll stop light side from playing any interrupts during the battle and also force them to lose a force. Queso does play aim high, even though Yodad has no lost pile, so nothing to retrieve. Might not be the best way to go about things. Oh, and as Queso's pointing out in the chat, it looks like Kraken has a glitch that may or not have been fixed yet, because you can see both sides here are still getting the Destiny to power. So I'm sure there's something in the rules that is kind of overriding Kraken's restriction. That needs to get cleaned up by the GEMP team, and hopefully there's been a ticket submitted regarding that. So Nines tries to take a shot at the Commando team. And misses because they have armor. So then we both get a Destiny to power. Power Destinies are drawn first. It goes power, battle Destiny, and then attrition Destinies. So if you have anything that adds power or attrition, there is a sequence for when they do get drawn. I'm sure both of them would love to have their power Destinies as their battle Destinies instead, to cause extra cards to have to be forfeited. But looks like it worked out for Yodad. Blind draw on a 5 and a 6. And a Luke Skywalker. Oh, so they can play Luke, they just can't play a Jedi version of Luke. Okay. That's true. I know a lot of times we see the No Idea deck will start Insurrection as one of their 3 starting effects because they have so many small rebels of ability less than 3 to get the extra forfeit boost. So like Kraken would have covered 6 there, or Utani, who's in his hand, would cover 6. So there are certainly some plenty of guys that do benefit from the Insurrection bonus. That usually you see people start Insurrection and not necessarily this little Mon-Cal space setup that we see Queso using in this particular matchup. He does get the Profundity out, and it was not all that expensive because Star Cruisers deploy -1 here, and then he gets -2 more from the Mon-Cal dockyards. That ship will also now be immune to attrition less than 4 and draws 1 battle destiny if not able to otherwise. The restriction is capped at -3 though, so if he were deploying it using some of this text here, like the deploy -2 to a system opponent occupies or -4, Profundity would actually could end up getting screwed. But luckily, the Mon-Cal dockyards here says may deploy -2, so this is optional. You don't have to use it, and then you could still get the Profundity bonus minus deployment text. You just have to make sure you use the cards properly in order to get the correct reduction. Thank you, sir. Just getting to that. And then he's going to draw a few cards here and reload his hand. It's going to be a pretty kind of a stacked site there on the ground. Might take him a little while to find some characters to go through that. It seems to be finding all his ships, though. So it looks like this is a very space-heavy version. Or maybe he's just playing some token guys on the ground, trying to really control the game in space, and then he just put a few guys at like one of these Scarif sites, and just to get around battle plan and cause a little extra force loss and things like that. Zuckuss and Mist Hunter making an appearance for the dark side. So Zuckuss will battle with First Strike. That's a good move by Yodad. He's going to retrieve a force to get back the trooper that he lost. If he draws high enough, Profundity does draw Destiny, but it's going to be reduced to 0 because they don't have enough ability piloting it, which Zuckuss requires total ability greater than 6. So even though they draw it, it just gets reduced to 0. And then Darkseid just hopes to draw something 4 or higher that'll crack the immunity and cause Profundity to be lost. So that's a good move by Yodad there, really keeping the pressure on. He draws Jakku, which is not what he was looking for. So now he's going to end up losing a couple cards to this battle. There's a Captain Cassian Andor. He's going to get Jedi Leved. Queso has to pay 1 force because First Strike is out, so you have to spend a force for interrupts. When your opponent, when Darkseid initiates the battle, Lightside has to pay 1 for each interrupt. Okay, so they draw evac control, which doesn't really matter. But they do get Cassian. Cassian is an excellent character. But Darkseid's got to peel 2 cards in this battle here. And he ends up losing You Know What I've Come For from hand, which is the one that gets him the shuttle. Probably not playing a shuttle. And then he top decks Snoke. Okay. Now Cassian deploys cheaper for rebel leaders on table. He's a spy, which is good. You can place a character in your lost pile out of play to cancel a just drawn weapon or battle destiny. And if he's just lost, you can activate a force while he's at your location, opponent's location. He's immune to less than 4. He's a pilot, so he's got 2 abilities, so that would get you to 4 ability. And then if you were to put like Lando aboard as well, that would be 7 ability, and they could beat the crap out of Zuckuss. Use Cassian's game text to cancel Zuckuss's battle destiny, and then you'd have neither of these guys add power though. It would still be just 6 to 4, but you'd get 2 battle destiny out of it with Lando's text. So that's certainly one option. The other option would be to go after the ground site with, Cassian and Rey and Lando, and I don't think he's got quite enough force to deploy all of them. But he's got options here. Oh, Zuckuss runs away. Okay. Well, that will eliminate the space battle option. And Yodad will draw a couple cards and get himself back up to a respectable 6. 6 is kind of the number, when you start getting below 6, your opponent starts to lose respect for what you could or couldn't have. Han Chewie Falcon V. All right. Not the maintenance cost version. This is the virtual version. Total ability of 5, so that's pretty cool. Attempts here to blow away any Death Star. Okay, so it's immune to less than 6, which is always pretty good. And we've got a couple other ships in hand, and Gold Leader and Bright Hope. He does have 1 force still available, though, so Gold Leader won't completely shut down Zuckuss. Gold Leader is a total completely strong card, especially when your opponent doesn't have any force available, or if you do something like draw their fire with it, because then you're forcing your opponent to spend force for their interrupts, and then they don't have enough left for their battle destiny, or if they just happen to not have any battle destiny or any force left to spend, they can really get into trouble. He pitches the shuttle from hand, and Queso draws a 5 here, so he's got 16 power to 6. That's a difference of 10. Zuckuss only covers 5. So Yodad's either going to need a Gick or he's going to peel 5 cards here. And Queso's going to have to lose the Gold Leader. It was a good battle for Queso. Again, staying strong in space and clearing stuff out. He has already forced him to throw away his shuttle. We see Zuckuss there. He does have a finalizer in hand somewhere. Okay, so he did top deck 5 cards. They're in the chat box, so hang on a second and we'll go through them. He lost FN 2003, a Trooper Assault, a Blaster. He top decked a second copy Phasma, and then lost Zuckuss. Oh, he drew a 3. Okay, I thought FN was a 2. He's a 3 because of Hux. Hux makes first order characters Destiny +1. So he had to lose 9. So 4 cards. Alright, pretty good battle there for Queso. Now he's got control of both systems. And he's going to move Profundity over and lock down this Scarif system, which we haven't looked at yet. While Rogue One is piloted by a Rebel here, it's immune to attrition. That's pretty good. Unless you're Star Destroyer here or your Imperial at a related location, Force Drain -1 here. So definitely not going to have any Imperials in this deck, or very few Imperials in this deck. Well, looks like Yodad's not going to pay to drain, and instead he's just going to run right to his draw phase. He's going to take some time and reload his hand here. Kind of give Queso a free turn, basically, to reinforce his space system a little more, or to come threaten some stuff on the ground. In the chat, Queso was writing about that he might have accidentally picked the virtual Han Chewie and the Falcon by mistake. Might not have been the one he was intending to put in, but it seems like it worked out okay. He's got a ship that's going to stick around for a while. Good power, good forfeit. Now we get Rey. Okay, so this card just says flip if you control 2 Scarif locations. You don't have to control them with specific characters. You don't have to have spies. You don't even have to have the Stardust. You just control 2 Scarif locations and flip. And then you get some of these other benefits for all of your spies. And since that was Rey with lightsaber hitting the table, that also flips the map objective because she is the resistance agent. Now we get, there's Cassian. And we're going to get another guy with a weapon here. Looks like he's deploying Captain Yutani. Does have to be careful here because of the first strike, not having enough force for anything. But he's got himself in a pretty good spot. Okay. Yodad's going to try an Ellis. I think we're going to have to see the it's a hit here. Cancel that. He will opt to move and pay. No force available to grab it, but he can at least cancel it with it's a hit. And we'll see if Yodad has the second copy of Ellis. He does not. Got some decent destiny in there, though. A bunch of 4s and 5s. And now he just needs to find a way to battle. And there's strategic reserves, so he can cancel some force drains. Accelerate. He's going to take one of those 5s out to put a 5 back where he can track it around. Now he's going to look for a blaster that's not there. He's just trying to cycle some interrupts out of his hand at this point, which is a good move. Put a couple high destiny cards together for when he does battle. And on top of it, just get some cards out of his hand so that way he can draw a few more useful ones. He probably has multiple copies of Blast Points. Also a good time to use it when Queso doesn't have any force available to use his grabber. And then Yodad's going to draw some more cards and see what else he can find. I think the other thing here... Oh, never mind. It's the wrong site. The beach. Combat vehicle, scout, spies reach power +1, and it's a force drain +1 here. So that's important. And he can cancel the drain because he's not with... Hang on, there's a couple things going on here. Because he doesn't have the Stardust. While Stardust on your spy, opponent may not cancel your force drains at battlegrounds. So he doesn't have the Stardust. So he can still use strategic reserves. We talked in the beginning of the game about this might be a difference, but Yodad kind of stacked up that site to make it unappealing to pick up that Stardust there. So he can use the strategic reserves to cancel the drain here. Queso then went ahead and played the effective repair Starship Levitation combo, which has a used part, cancel a couple of really bad cards. Uh, I mean, these are really good cards to play if you're dark side. They're really bad to play against. Um, that's what I meant by that. Place a card just stacked on droid racks or strategic reserves in opponent's lost pile. So he's going to play this, and he's going to make this trooper go lost. So the trooper can't be deployed off there later. Yodad is going to respond by grabbing that card, which he hopes to never see again. And we'll also get to drain one for the system, which he'll throw away Image of the Dark Lord from hand. Alright, now we got Luke on the Profundity. And now we got Lando coming down for 5, so now we've got a pretty stacked up beach there. And he's going to draw a couple cards. Interesting. And then pay the maintenance cost on Lando. So Queso's got himself a pretty small hand here. Yodad's got 10 cards. He really shouldn't be too concerned about, what could he possibly have. He just drew one of those cards, so, unless he's a really lucky top decker, there's a pretty good chance that the card he just drew isn't really going to be anything that's going to be overly useful. So Yodad is going to get his Jakku system out, so he doesn't have to pay to drain. He's going to put his finalizer on it. He's going to bring up General Hux for an extra pilot. And he's got Lieutenant Mataka aboard. He's going to take Kylo as well. Okay. And now he's going to move over to Scarif. Yeah, I'm not sure Lando was necessary last turn. He probably could have just drawn a couple cards. I'm sure Queso was a little concerned about Yodad having, a pretty big hand and a lot of force to work with. Finalizer was probably the likely card that he was going to deploy in that situation. Even if he doesn't, if he drops a couple of troopers, like Kylo's already down, Phasma's already down. If he just dropped a couple of other characters together, I mean, you've got Cassian to cancel something. You've got 2 guys who can shoot stuff. Lando might have been overkill there. I probably would have saved Lando for a better situation, like what's going to happen up here, and just drawn 3 or 4 cards to build my hand back up. All right, so Luke goes ahead and retrieves a force, and he gets a hit back. Always important to remember to retrieve with Luke. Haha. Now we're going to use the flip side of the game text here, which is, the part we were talking about earlier. You can put a guy out of play, so he puts Kraken out of play, to make a regular move with your spy during your control phase. Just says regular move. It doesn't say using land speed, so it's not like a regular move where he has to move between sites. It's just any regular move. And shuttling would be a regular move, so he could shuttle Cassian up here. Let's see if that's exactly what he's doing. Yep, he's bringing Cassian up to space, which is a pretty solid move there. He'll also get Major Hashin. I think he's the guy who just cancels lateral damage, right? Piloting Star Cruiser adds 1 hyperspeed and armor, cancels lateral damage. But yeah, it's 2 more power, so that's always good. And then he's just going to go ahead and start drawing instead. So he doesn't battle. He's just going to draw. Might have been worth it to consider battling. So you could have retrieved Gold Leader and Gold 1, but there we go. Antilles Maneuver is a good one to get. Save a couple of force. Radis, Akbar, these are strong characters. And he'll pay the upkeep to keep Lando around a little longer. Darkseid does get to drain. He's going to lose the maintenance card, and it was the Hujix. Now we've got a P59. P59 only cost 4. only on the 0 side. Is that what it is? While this side up. Okay, so now that he's flipped, no, the guys don't cost +2. Okay, see, we're all learning together here. Now we've got a Dr. E combo. Uh-oh. Well, he's got 2 force left. So Queso's got some options here. Luckily, he's got some defensive cards in his hand. Why does he have defensive cards in his hand? Because he drew a few cards. He didn't just keep deploying everything. All right. Oh, yeah. Queso's pointing out in the chat that he was afraid of having Yoda having a command and limiting him up here. It certainly was a possibility. I saw that you had grab command, but command's on the free grabber, not the one he has to pay for. So, my mistake. I mean, I think it still would have worked out okay for you there. Um, you've got a pretty decent power advantage over him, um, and you can still cancel his battle destiny. So even if he commands to add one, you can cancel one, and you still should be okay here. Um, and then obviously he's running low or out of Imperial commands. I think we just also, when he just verified his reserve deck last turn, we saw that he had 2 commands in there of the 6 cards that were left. So I wouldn't expect him to be running 4 copies of Imperial command. So I think you were okay to battle there, but that's just my 2 cents. But we're back to this ground battle here. So we've got the trooper, who makes characters cumulatively defense value -1. You've got the objective here, which says spies are defense value +2, but none of these guys are spies. So that's unfortunate. So they're all defense value -1. You've got P59, who shoots destiny +1 greater than defense value. And when they're hit, Dr. Evazan makes them go bye-bye. So we'd get 1 shot at 1 character here, take him out. Money would be on him shooting at Lando. But Queso's got options. Option number 1, keep your eyes open. Battle's just initiated, lose a force to prevent all weapons from being fired for remainder of battle. That would then, he doesn't get to use his lightsaber or his gun, but P59 doesn't get to shoot either. Everybody kind of sticks around. Light side draws 2 destiny plus a destiny to power, and should probably clear out a big chunk of this, because they really just need to draw higher than 4 to get some part of the Dr. E P59, actually just draw higher than 3 really, to get some part of the P59 Dr. E combo off the table, and then you got some other guys in hand and make him move around. And he only has 2 force left, so he can't really move people in too many directions here. So that seems like a pretty good option for Queso. I'd probably let the battle go through. The other option he does have, he's got Antilles Maneuver, which is opponent must first use 1 force to fire a weapon, and opponent's starship weapon destinies are -1. Not really so much concerned about the starship weapon destiny draw being -1. It's just making him pay the extra force. So he'd have to pay 1 to shoot, and then pay 1 more. Not quite as good. The third option, the one that probably works out the best, is it's a trap. He can just use 3 force to cancel the battle. It would cost him 4 because of first strike, but he's got 5 saved. And then, kind of see what Yodad does with these extra force here. You might catch him with Antilles Maneuver next turn when you're battling him, and see how that goes. You could cancel with Lando with the objective. You're right, he could. Once per turn, place a rebel in lost pile, because it's once per turn. The moving thing was on his turn, because it just says rebel, it doesn't say trooper. So good call there, CRG. He could cancel the weapon at Lando or Yutani to keep them around, by putting another character out of play. If he has another character, he should have the Endor Commando team should still be in there, and so then perhaps you're looking at P59 trying to shoot at Rey. Interesting. Now he adds the FN trooper, who also costs a force to use. So now might be an interesting time to play the Antilles maneuver, because then he could only use one or the other. Actually, he wouldn't be able to use either because he's got to pay one to battle. So if you play the Antilles maneuver now, he can't pay the one to shoot, and he can't pay the one to use FN's text if he decides to battle, because he wouldn't have any force left. And that's exactly what Queso does. Plays the Antilles maneuver. And now we see a trooper gun. So it looks like Yodad will not be battling this turn, and he does not. He does not move the finalizer away either, which is also interesting. Luke will retrieve a force and get the Hujiks back. And then we could possibly see this Moncal and Akbar and Radis show up. And that should be like 30-something power. So we're going to get Akbar aboard the Profundity. He's going to play Launch on the Assault, which he doesn't necessarily need. It just adds the force drains. Here comes the Mon Cal. Oh, he's going to Mon Calamari with him. Boo. Boo. Should have put him right here at Scarif and just cranked out the power on this thing. You'd have 29 plus Radis adds something else. Capital ships here are power +1, so these should be +1, so you'd actually have 2 more power. Should be 31 to 15. Battle. Clear the whole thing. Then move over. He will get the gold leader back. That's pretty good because of the first strike. Now he's saying that, yeah, where you have 2 rebel capital ships, attrition against opponent is +2. Yeah, Akbar, that would have helped too with the Moncal. He should be over here. Load up, clear everything out, then you can spread out to set up your force drains afterwards. Good lesson for you folks. So now he gets 2 battle destiny, no command from Yodad, small 4-card hand. So he draws a 5 and another 5. So that's a total of 10. This ship is not immune. It's immune to less than 5. PV's down here. PV's the guy who adds to its immunity, so it's only immune to less than 5. So he's got 10 in forfeit there, which is going to be 2 people, which will be Mitaka and Kylo. But if he had the extra +2 from Akbar, it'd still be the same 2 guys getting forfeited. But he'd have 10 more power, so it'd be 41 to 15. And that would be a difference of 26, which would mean he'd be peeling all these guys. Spectre saves him from having to lose 2 force to Kylo. Yeah, there goes Mitaka. Then he's got 4 battle damage left to satisfy. So now he's got to look at peeling 4 cards or losing Hux. And if he loses Hux, then he doesn't really have any place to put his ship. So he's going to peel 4 cards. He's going to throw away 2 Kylos from hand, Krennic, and a Trooper Assault. Yodad's getting low on life force here, kind of getting overrun a little bit. And now we're going to see these guys move away and move inside, away from the Dr. E weapon combo stuff. Smart move. The other option, obviously, he could have saved force and used the It's a Trap if he wanted. Instead, what he's going to do is he opts to move over and then let Lando go away and not pay the maintenance cost. So he's got 4 force available to play the It's a Trap to get himself out of any trouble if he needs to. And that is A-OK as well. Looks like Yodad may have activated a little bit extra force than he meant to, so looks like we might get a revert here as well. Oh, he keys faced me. It's a brand new emoji that was added. The Keith Brown face. Dark side does get a drain at 2. I think light side can afford to top deck a couple cards here. They had some fairly low destinies in their reserve deck, and since they drew the good ones for Battle Destiny, you kind of want to get through some of the lower ones here, some of these characters, to get back to some of the higher Destiny ones. Looks like Yodad's just looking for a way to search his deck. He could just look for control phase to see if he can sniper. Yeah, okay. Wow, it's a trap cancel sniper. Not sure who he was going to try and sniper there, but his destiny was fairly low. Unfortunately, he no longer has the It's a Trap now to stop the battle from happening. So he's going to have to rely on some destiny draws here. Yodad retrieves the sniper. I would not play the Keep Your Eyes Open here. There's a garrison, stormtrooper assault, which makes the troopers both power +2 and immune to attrition, so he's got a lot more power here. And Nines is going to go after Yutani. You can use the objective, as we discovered earlier, to cancel that destiny. Put any guy he wants out of play. Throws away the Endor Commando team. So now Yutani does not get hit. And now Lightside's going to get 2 shots here. You got Rey with her lightsaber swinging. It's the right idea by Yodad. He's behind in the game. He has to make something happen. He's going for a big battle beatdown. Queso has only a couple cards in hand, and we just saw him retrieve the Hujik, so it's very unlikely that he has a second copy in his hand to work with. So he's going for the beatdown here. Oh, Queso misses. Phasma has to shoot again. Does get her with that destiny. And now he should be back into those juicy double 5s that he drew for the space battle. Coming up pretty soon here. They should be near the top. So we get a power destiny and then 2 battle destiny from dark side. Light side does cover 11 in forfeit though, so that's pretty good for them. And there's a rescue in the clouds for power destiny. That'll close the gap a little bit. And Darkseid will get to draw the 2 remaining cards. I believe one of them was a General Grievous, the other was a Blast Point, so he's going to have a 6 total, I think, which gets him to 27. And if this is indeed another 5 on top for Queso, that puts him to 18. So he's down 9, and his guys forfeit for 11, so he should be fine here. Yep, there's the other 5. Kylo does kick in and make him have to lose 2 force. That stinks, but he's still fairly well ahead. Oh, don't lose the 2 5s you put together. I couldn't quite activate it to them next turn either, but yeah, light side could technically keep both characters, but I could lose Ray and then 2 cards and keep Utani there, and then like come back with Core and Horn. It's probably not a move I'd recommend, but it would have at least kept him on the ground and let him be able to afford his space drains. He could just pay to drain in space as well. P59 moves over, so he's going to solidify his 2 ground locations and spend his last force and have his finalizer run away. If I'm light side this turn, I'm paying to drain because Yodad has no hand left, so he can't cancel any of them, and launching the assault is out. So he's going to make these drains +1 where he's got piloted star cruisers. So that's a drain at 2 at Mon Calamari. He's going to have to top deck 2 cards. And that's going to be a drain of 2 over here, I believe, as well. Yep. So light side's doing 4 force loss a turn right now. The retrieval is canceled, which is what you just saw a highlight in there. Luke can't retrieve one because the objective is on the 7 side. With no hand, Corn Horn's free to go wherever he wants. And Profundity can give chase to the finalizer. So this should only be a matter of time here. Not really much left Yodad can do. He can't battle this. There's too much. He can't get his guys over. He's got no hands, so he can't relocate or move people around. He shuttles Luke down. Didn't exactly need to do that. Obviously, with no hand, he can't really do anything about it. Yeah, take the Hujix, get the lowest Destiny card out of your deck. Always a good idea. And then I would just kind of... It draws 1 more. Okay. But Finalizer can't battle this in space because it's, it's 2 Battle Destiny with Akbar here. So that's not going to work out pretty well. And, just going to have to keep moving and chasing around. And they're just going to bleed out in about 2 turns. They can cut the differential down, though. So if it was a tournament or something like that where differential did matter, it can continue to keep draining over here for 3, causing some force loss, causing Queso to lose some cards. If this was like a match play situation or something like that, there's still some damage he can do, but not really looking promising to win the game here for Yodad. No, he had a trooper on the strategic reserves. It's an extra character, right? He's not doing anything anywhere. He's 3 more forfeit, but the trooper alone wasn't going to threaten Corn Horn or anybody like that there. Corn Horn could just as easily be over here, threatening another drain, speeding this game up. Yodad moves back over, shuttles up Dr. E, and draws a couple of cards. Yeah. It's going to be a big turn of drains. For light side, they won't have to pay for any of them. Defensive fire to randomly pull a card out of hand and put it back. Okay. It also breaks the cover of an undercover spy. It's primarily what it's used for, but so it's not really going to make much of a difference here. It's all academic at this point, as they like to say. There goes Kylo's lightsaber, which he never deployed for some reason, and blast points. There goes the Sniper Dark Strike. He's got a drain of 3 at Jakku because it's +1 from the launch and the assault. And he doesn't have any shields available to pull resistance to cut that back down to 2. And he gets hit for 2 more here. So just 1 more turn, and it'll all be over here for Darkside. Hey, he has the Liberty. Queso's going to chop his own differential down by 1 to Deploy the Liberty. Actually, he should just battle. Battle, cause one force loss with first strike, retrieve a card, send the forfeit the Liberty back to his used pile, uh, and then you can like move over after making him lose something from this. If he was playing for differential, that's exactly how he would do it. But it's a friendly casual game these guys are playing here, not not keeping track of a differential here for this one. So no need to rub it in. So I'll get drained for three more, and that'll pretty much be game here. Well, Yodad will battle. He'll cause one more force loss with first strike. He's flipped, but Kylo's not on the table. We just saw the limited resources sitting over there in his lost pile. That could cause some more damage if he had any Kylos left. But he does not. It is a crazy Moncal deck. Uh, Seems pretty good. Seemed like it held up pretty well in both theaters there. Might be a little light on ground characters, just as what I've seen kind of being top decked and going by, but maybe it's just, maybe they were the ones that were just kind of hiding for a little while. Oh, here come a couple more. But no, overall, it seems like a pretty interesting deck, and I don't know that you necessarily. I mean, obviously, I guess you want this to get Mon Calamari out. I was gonna say, can you ditch this for something better? But no, it seems like it's pretty good. And Yodad will throw in the towel there and call it a day. So thanks to Queso for submitting the game link. We do have one more game that we're going to roll over and look at. Just give me 1 second here. If you're keeping score at home, that'd be a full win by 12, which is pretty respectable if you were playing in a match play type scenario. 12 is a number you can easily come back from in game two, or if you're just trying to keep track of, a couple little things here and there, a couple little things going a little differently along the way. That first battle with Zuckus, if he had drawn something other than a 0, Yodad could have, had a couple more, caused maybe some force loss or taken the profundity off the table. That's just a bad break for him on that one. It took him a little while to get the finalizer out. He kind of spent more time putting his guys to the ground. And then obviously, Queso had an opportunity to get the finalizer off the table a turn or two sooner with this Moncal and this battle here. So both sides could have tightened things up a little bit and had some things possibly go their way that would have, changed the outcome of this game. But overall, pretty good. And thanks to the guys for sending this one over. This game two that we're going to move over and take a look at here comes to us from Tom, the legendary Tom. And he's taking on Mingtown here. Tom is playing 12 card CCT, and he'll be taking on Ming, who is playing 12 card There Is Good in Him. So, There Is Good in Him gets to start Luke over here at the Chief Sherpa's hut. Light side gets +2 activation at Luke's location unless there's an Imperial at the Endor landing platform here. And then light side gets no activation where they have Luke, which completely sucks. And then any Imperial is at Luke's site. Luke is captured. And you flip this card if Luke is captured. If it's not Vader, opponent starts losing 2 force a turn. But then they can transfer him to Vader if Vader shows up later, so they don't have to keep Luke being stuck on him. Light side obviously wants to win some battles and stack some cards on at Field of Conflict, and then they can try to cross Vader and win the game. Haven't I've seen it happen more than a few times. Not recently, but I have seen it happen, and I'm sure people have been using this deck pretty successfully. I know the Endor guys really do like this deck, and it's good to see it being played against an Endor guy in this case. Destiny greater than 14, so you just add 3 to it for each card you've got stacked, and just try and get 3 or 4 cards stacked and then cross Vader and win. For Darkseid here, we see a couple interesting card choices. Tom did mention this was his Imperial Supply version. For those of you unfamiliar with Imperial Supply, the used version, you lose a card to activate 2 force. The lost version is you lose a card and this card to activate 4 force. So it can really accelerate the game in the early stages to let you put a lot more stuff on the table in the early going. And I believe that's what Tom said he was going for here. This is a quicker game. He did mention that the game kind of spirals out of hand pretty quickly, but we do want to just kind of showcase some variety of decks here, and Tom always has some creative stuff. And 12 card TIG isn't something that we feature a lot in this show either. And we'll wrap things up here and go get some dinner, because I can hear the cat outside my door yelling. Apparently they want dinner as well. So he's going to get the bridge out. He's got now Hutta. He's going to go get carbon freezing or prepare the chamber. He's going to grab carbon freezing. So Lightside had to give up a rebel. They gave up Captain Hera. He's going to lose a card to activate 4 more. He's going to put the carbon freezing down. So he lost the accelerate from hand. He's going to drop EPP Kylo, pick up Hera, and run over and really threaten. Oh, he's going to play No Escape first and pick up the Imperial Supply again. Get that right back into hand. And now we're going to see Kylo run over. So it looks like he's going to threaten the turn 2 carbon freeze and try and freeze Hera and cause that 8 force loss. I really don't like that that's so easily accessible. But I mean, it is a battleground. But I mean, it's like, how good is your opening hand? Can you come kill me before I make you just peel 8 cards? I don't like that that's a thing, and I wish there were more cards that, or I wish that was harder to do. Tom's gonna play Imperial Supply again, activate 4 more. Okay, so wow. Okay, so Ming in his 12 card hand got a copy of Mace Windu and Mace's lightsaber, because he doesn't have anything to pull matching weapons. Darkseid's going to go for the Stunning Leader to get out of the battle here, which is going to get canceled with Impressive, Most Impressive. It is impressive. But Lightside, he did have the sense. Can he not play it? Oh no, they can play it. Okay. To try and cancel the interrupt. So he could have gone for this, or is that part of Immune Descents? Yeah, that part's Immune Descents. Okay, the second half is not. So the first part is Immune Descents, so all this stuff was Immune Descents. Okay, so could not cancel it there. So now he's in a little bit of trouble here. See if Mace can hit Kylo Ren. And 5 with the first Destiny should pretty much guarantee it, unless he draws a location. Almost. So there's a hit on Kylo. Kylo will get the swing back at Mace. That's not going to get it done. You'd have to blind draw a 7 here to do it now. Phantom Menace. Ooh. So it just misses. Now he's got Lightside's got a, or Darkseid has to lose a force because they missed. That's Kylo's text. We'll get a Battle Destiny from both people. Ming draws a 3, which he'll then pick up with Jedi Lev. Get 3PO into hand. That should help play speed things along for him. He gets a 4 instead. And we'll see, obviously he wants Darkseid to draw less than 4, so he can stack a card on I Field of Conflict. Darkseid draws a 4, so it's a tie, so no overflow, no card stack. But Mace is immune to less than 6, so that's pretty good. So that battle went really well for Ming. And now he frees Hera and gets her back, which is pretty huge. Darkseid's going to pull Fanfare and just shuffle his deck. Not quite sure what Tom was looking for there, that he opted to go that route. He does get to activate 10. I'll get his site out. Alright, so we talked earlier about the Imperial to the landing site cutting down activation. He throws Tarkin down over there. Looks like he's gonna pull battle order, so this drain at the carbonate chamber would be pretty expensive. And he's just gonna draw a whole bunch of cards and get a pretty big hand. And he draws into projective telepathy, which is makes a very expensive combo when combined with battle order here, because obviously Ming's only activating 6. If you were to pay 3 to drain and then you play projective, make him pay 2 more, he'd have no force left to do anything else with. Now we'll see Tom activate a whole bunch of cards, again with Imperial Supply. Top decking an Imperial Barrier off the top of his reserve deck to activate 4 more, so now he's got plenty of force available if he needs to spend for any interrupts or anything like that. Or if he wants to do this recoil thing, which use 3 force, each player shuffles their hand back into their deck and then redraws a new hand. Lightside's going to put down 3PO, see if they try and get some of their activation pullers. Probably move Luke over so they get their activation back and make Darkseid start losing 2 force because Vader's not out yet. Hey, thanks for stopping by, CRG, and thanks to all of you for continuing to watch the rest of this game here. I know we ran a little longer than we normally do. I like to try and keep this to an hour, but I had a few things to catch up on with missing a couple of weeks. We'll be back on our regularly scheduled Mondays starting next week. Do have a couple games to review, and of course, obviously, like I said, if you guys have more game links, please send them on over to me. All right, here comes Darth Maul. Lightside's going to go for the Hoojix combo. We're going to get a Dr. E. There's the Jabba's Haven. That'll let him get Dr. E back, which is pretty strong. Maul's going to take a swing at Mace here, and he's got Dr. E to make him immediately lost if he can hit him here. He draws Vader, but he can Sith Fury that. So he still has 2 live chances to try and take out Darth Maul. Well, that's not going to do it. I'm sorry, for Maul to take out Mace. So Mace is going to get the swing then. And this is where you have the interesting dilemma, is do you try and swing at Maul to hit him? I guess it would depend on what cards Ming has available in his hand. If it were me, regardless of whether you have a Sorry About the Mess or not, I'd swing at Dr. E here. With 10 cards in hand, there's a fairly good chance that Tom's got something like a force field that could protect Darth Maul. Maul's also harder to hit. Neither of these guys is immune to any attrition, so whichever one you hit, if you draw Destiny, the other one has to die. as long as you don't draw a 0. And if you do have a sorry about the mess combo, you could easily hit Dr. E, sorry about the mess him, to take him out of the battle right away. So therefore, even if Maul hits someone on swing 2, Maul can't, operate and make the guy go immediately lost. So you trade a bunch of guys and you end up with the site being cleared, but it's the safer play. It's the lower risk play, in my opinion. If you swing at Maul and he blanks or cancels it, and then comes back and hits Mace, well, then you still have Maul and Dr. E there next turn to deal with, which is going to be incredibly difficult to work against. But he does choose to swing at Maul, which does get the force field. We don't know what kind of interrupts Ming had in his hand, but that the fear or the threat of a force field is why I would have recommended using the swing on Dr. E. Yep. Mace does get hit. Mace going to get operated and immediately removed. Hera doesn't draw by herself. She only adds a destiny when she's with an Imperial, which there are no Imperials there. So now and Dr. E is going to get his extra power back. So now it's 13-4 plus a battle destiny. She's only going to cover to 10, so he's looking at peeling 3 plus whatever the draw is, or burning the Hujix. Well, he gets lucky, and it's Arika again showing her face. So it's Hera and 4 cards, or the Hujix. He will opt to play the Hujix instead. And now Maul and Dr. E pretty much own that site for the near future. And Tom still has plenty of force to work with, so he can draw a few more cards. He will save 2 force. Tarkin draws by himself. Obviously, he's got a projective, but Lightside is not in a position. They only get 7 force. They don't have a whole lot to work with here to activate. Darkseid, Tom did have to lose 2 from the objective because Luke is captured by someone other than Vader. He pitches an all too easy and a sense combo. And now we're going to see, what little Lightside can resist and sputter, come back with. They go for a speak to try and pull the Jedi Council chamber. That does get sensed. I don't know if Tom is playing, if Ming is playing senses of his own. When this sense went off the top, he didn't pull the There Is No Tri Shield, so he may have senses of his own in his deck. But now that he's grabbed it, they're going to be more expensive. And the speak is canceled, so Lightside's going to have to try and find their locations the hard way, and that means basically just drawing here. So they're going to start to fall behind on board position fairly quickly if they don't turn things around. Get some locations out. Right now they're getting out activated pretty good. I always forget to do that. But battle order is out, so they would have to pay to drain. But I think they're going to solve that this turn. He's got Vader. He can transfer Luke over to Vader. He can put Zuckuss over here. That'll get him around battle plan. Now he's no longer losing 2 a turn from the objective. And he's got drains of 3 going at these locations. Lightside's still only activating like 7, so they're not really going to be able to come after this. And this is a very strong location. And this one's pretty strong too, between the choke from Vader's text, Tarkin adding a destiny, so you got 2 battle destiny, 10 power, plus whatever cards Darkseid might have in hand. That's certainly going to make it difficult for Lightside to bounce back from. Oh, he checks with his boss Nest. See what is. There's another speak. Okay, so he's got speak number 2. Gets his Jedi Council chamber out, so he's up to 12 now. So we can piece together a couple of characters, save a few force. He could, come after this location perhaps next turn. Oh, he's going for it now with Padme and Rey. It's kind of a seems like it's a bit of a desperation move. I mean, he's got 30 plus cards remaining to kind of force these two characters down. I mean, Rey adds one to the total. Padme doesn't add a destiny to attrition when only when she's with a Skywalker. She's not with Luke if he's captive. At least that shouldn't work like that. Um, so basically, he'd have to blind draw a 6 to get rid of Vader out in the situation and get Luke back. Because if he draws a 5 and Rey makes it a 6, he just loses Tarkin, and then Vader gets to stay. Plus, there's a possibility that Vader can choke one of these two characters by blind drawing a 5. So this doesn't seem like a great play from Ming. I don't know if he's just getting frustrated at the deck or trying to speed the game along, but this is the move he's going for, and he's looks like he's going to battle and just sort of take his chances. And of course, Tom has the projective, which will make him pay 2, or the battle's canceled. At which point Ming concedes. So, game certainly started to get away from Ming a little bit. Don't know he necessarily. I mean, he still had 33 cards left plus 9 in hand. We're only on turn 4. I don't know I'd necessarily needed to force the issue here. I mean, he's only going to lose 1, 2, 3 to those drains. I certainly could have found some better cards to attack with, saved a few force, activated 12 next turn, and put these guys down with a couple other characters. But it's probably more of a just trying to get the game over with kind of thing, and just getting frustrated there on Ming's part to force the issue. But thanks very much to Tom for sending over that game link, and to all you guys. Well, you can't choke as a Padme. Same difference. Um, Still not going to kill everybody. But thank you guys very much for watching. I always have fun doing these, and great to be back doing them again. Um, like I said, we'll be back on Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel, 6 p.m. Monday. So you guys have yourself a great night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Sunday morning, 7 a.m., Online Championship Series Finals. All Stars versus Profundity. Be there or be square. Have a good night.